Today, I'm answering the question, how does a husband lead the home? John Maxwell, one of my favorite authors of all time, he said that leadership is influence. And as we think about influence, men to women, one of the things that we typically see is that a guy is physically stronger than a woman. This ain't in every case, but in most cases, a guy is more physically strong than a woman. In the Bible, that's the only area where a man may have an advantage over a woman. And I know that this may shock some people because of the fact that throughout human history, we've seen women in a subservient position dominated by men, whether it's in the workplace or within society or whatever the case may be. But I don't believe that that was ever God's intention from the beginning. And if we go back to the beginning, male and female were created in the image of God. The idea is that we are God's imagers, meaning we all have what we would call equal value in God's eyes. So men and women, aside from their physical differences, literally are spiritually on the same level, which means they have equal value. So when a husband and a wife get married, in God's eyes, they are co-equals. Okay. And so when we start hearing things like the man is the head of the home, and you hear wives saying, I got to follow my husband. And what does that actually mean? So if the man is the head of the wife, right, what does that really mean? It doesn't mean that he is superior to her in any way. It doesn't mean that she should become inferior to him in any way. What that means is that if a mugger was coming against my marriage, I jump in front of that bad boy and I will defend and I will protect my family. It means that as a man, I take the initiative to protect my family. I protect what God has entrusted into my care, that good thing that God has given me. I'm willing to take initiative to influence the outcome of my home. If a man has to use his title as husband or head of the home in order to gain an advantage, then that man is literally showing that he is a weak individual. And I know that may be a little bit strong, but I'm talking to men and I'm talking about the order of the home. If I have to use my title for me to have my way or to get what I want within a relationship, then I missed the whole point of marriage. I didn't get into a marriage to dominate my children, to dominate my wife. I got into marriage because I wanted a partner for life that we can influence the rest of the world with through our children. And that's been the vision of a husband and a wife from the beginning. It's to rule and subdue the earth, not one another. Your title as a man doesn't make you the tyrant of the home. It means that you are the first servant. You are the first, the head of the home. You're the one to lead by example as what the Bible would call the priest of your home. You're the lead prayer. You're the lead protector. You're the lead provider. And please hear me, that doesn't mean that you have to make the most money. It has nothing to do with how much money comes in that makes you the most important person in the home. It means that you recognize the importance and the significance of every member of your household. If you have a wife, then that means you have a partner for life, or until death do you part. To be the head of the home means that you are prying into her mind to see what has God given her that she needs to contribute to society. And then you become the chief servant of that woman and you help her to bring that dream to pass. You become her number one partner. You become her number one encourager. So you're the first in the home to encourage. You're the first in the home to help point your children in the right direction, leading them by your example of godliness, leading them in your example of faithful financial stewardship. You are to lead. That means you're not lazy. You're not waiting to have the right conversations about the plans to discipline your children. But you and your wife, you get together and you're asking the questions that say, okay, what's your opinion on how we can best lead our daughters or how we can best lead our son? You're sitting down. You take initiative, lead. You're first among equals. And you say, hey, honey, you don't wait till the house is burning down to all of a sudden say, hey, we need a plan to put this fire out. No, you take initiative and you say, hey, babe, can we talk this Sunday? Because there are some things I'm dreaming about that may be clashing up against what I think you see, but how can we best work together to build what God has put us on this earth to do? That's what a man does. He takes initiative, right? He's not passively allowing things to fall apart in his home, right? And he sees it and he knows something is wrong. You're not keeping it on the inside until you implode or until one day you lose it and you explode on everybody. You're also the first to forgive. You're the first to apologize. And if you say, man, it just doesn't feel fair, think about Jesus on the cross, right? Father, forgive them. He's our example according to Ephesians 5. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself for her. The idea is that we are the first givers. You're supposed to be the most generous. And so when you start thinking about being a strong man, it means that you're willing to take the nails, the crown of thorns. You're willing to go to that whipping post. Why? Because your bride is at stake. And whatever it takes to unify the family, that's what that man is willing to do. If that means that you need to go to therapy or counseling, if that means that you all need to see your spiritual guides or mentors, then you take that initiative and you say, you know what? Whatever it takes to salvage my home, that's what I'm willing to do. You're willing to provide. You're willing to protect. You're not trying to dominate or dictate whatever goes on in the house, right? Because you're not seeing your family as subservient. You're seeing them as your greatest honor, and you're trying to raise everyone up in your home as their chief support. You're the number one leader of helping to live a legacy. That's what you're trying to do. And so when we talk about leadership, we're talking about how you empower your wife and your children to actually leave a legacy that's worth leaving, right? So when you're gone, you have led so well that you influence your children's children and their children, right? That's a great leader. You recognize the gift of your teammates and you're doing everything within your power to help lift them up to where your wife and your children are the best that they could be. That's really what the definition of a great leader is. So you're first in compliments, you're first in encouragement, and you're also first in comfort for the family. And so I think about it like this, and this is my last thought right here for this. God, who is the ruler of all things, he's the creator of all things. You know, usually we say something like God is in control. The truth is, he is over the overarching theme of the history of man and the history of the world and the universe. But he leaves a lot of stuff up for us to choose. You chose Colgate. You hear me? You chose Right Guard. You chose your own deodorant preference, whatever scent you wanted. You chose your cologne. You chose to eat Chick-fil-A or you chose to eat a fruit salad, right? You have the right to choose. You have a certain amount of power and authority that God has given you. God doesn't dominate your every decision. He gives you free will. And so as husbands, we have to recognize that even as God gives us free will, everybody in your home has free will, but he partners with us to bring in his will into the world. And so God allows your creativity to be contributed to the conversation. He allows your strengths to be contributed to what he wants to do in this earth. And you partner with God and your giftedness shines because God lifts you up. And as examples and leaders of our home, that's exactly what a husband is supposed to be for his wife and for his children. We're supposed to come alongside them, not dominate them, not control them, not abuse them, right? Not push them down, not silence them, but we're to come next to them, partner with them to accomplish our will and theirs combined together to produce something amazing.